have just seen, my party comrades, the image of a tremendous historic upsurge that has come to Germany through the National Socialist Revolution and the leadership of the party. The magnitude of this achievement, however, also compels us to concern for the future. You know the economic program of this future. For us, there is no other path than the greatest increase of our work, and with it, of its yields. The German people is a people with high demands on life. If the rest of the world were influenced not by journalists but only by outstanding statesmen, it would have to be grateful for this fact. For the greater the demands of a people for life and culture, the greater becomes its longing for peace. Peace alone gives the possibility to accomplish those feats that can satisfy the requirements of so high a standard of living. Our economic situation is difficult, not because National Socialism governs in Germany, but because 140 people live on every square kilometer, because we have not been granted those great natural and soil riches that other peoples possess, and above all because we suffer a lack of fertile land. If Great Britain were suddenly to dissolve today, and England were dependent only on its own living space, then perhaps there would at once be more understanding there for the severity of the economic task set before us. That and how Germany has dealt with these problems is in itself a miracle, and a reason for us all to be truly proud. When a people that has no gold reserves and no foreign exchange, and not because National Socialism rules here, but because the non-National Socialist democratic parliamentary state was plundered for 15 years by a world greedy for profit. When such a people must feed 140 souls per square kilometer and possesses no colonial holdings whatsoever, when a people lacks countless raw materials and has neither the means nor the will to lead a fraudulent existence on credit, when such a people in 5 years reduces its unemployment to nothing, not only holds its standard of living but even improves it, and all this by its own strength. When a people works this miracle, then at least all those should be silent who, despite the greatest economic advantages, can scarcely solve their own unemployment problems. It will also remain our task in the future to preserve the German people from all illusions. But the worst illusion is always to believe one can consume what has not first been created and produced by work. In other words, it will also be our duty in the future to make clear to every single German in city and countryside that the value of his work must always equal his wage. That means the farmer can receive for his agricultural products only what the city dweller has first produced. The city dweller can obtain only what the farmer has wrested from his soil, and among themselves they can exchange only what they produce. Money can only play the intermediary role. It carries no use value in itself. Every mark paid out more in Germany presupposes that 1 mark more has been worked. Otherwise, that mark is an empty scrap of paper without purchasing power. But we want our German Reichsmark to remain an honest note, an honest claim on the product of labor equally honestly performed by another. That is the only real backing of a currency. By this, we have made it possible, without gold and without foreign exchange, to preserve the value of the German mark and thus to secure the value of our savings, at a time when those countries overflowing with gold and foreign exchange had to devalue their own currency. Already the blessing of births will force us, through increase of our production, to secure the greater sustenance for the whole. In the years 1933 and 1934, we were compelled to set German labor in motion, simply to bring it into effect at all, not seldom in the most primitive form. Spade and shovel were the tools in those years for many hundreds of thousands of German men. With the rising reactivation of economic life, a slow transformation is also taking place in our work methods. Today, Germany suffers from a shortage of skilled workers. Unemployment as such is virtually wiped out. We now enter a new phase of our national production. Now it is the task to replace the primitive work methods gradually with improved ones, above all with perfected ones. It must be our goal to draw the high-quality German worker ever farther from primitive labor and to lead him to higher value activity. But the most primitive work we then want to leave to the machine created by high-quality labor. Yet it is necessary to ensure that our flat countryside, where this shift to the machine is only conditional and gradual, does not become depleted of workers. This too will be achieved most surely when the general perfecting of our work methods meets the labor shortage overall in a natural way. And thus the outflow of the simplest workers from the countryside can rightly be halted. In a few sentences, a program that will indeed require years to realize. Yet every national socialist undertaking will, in the end, find its realization. Whatever we may achieve through such an increase of German production, it cannot remove the impossibility of Germany's spatial allocation. Therefore, year by year, the demand will sound louder for those colonial possessions that Germany once did not take from other powers, and that today are factually almost worthless to those powers, but appear indispensable to our own people. Here I turn against the hope that we could perhaps bargain away or buy such a claim with credits. We desire no credits, but living foundations that enable us, through our own diligence, to secure the existence of the nation.